Ugh. So, note to self, don't start in the parking garage anymore. Got it. Welcome to Drive Time with KJ. I'm your host, KJ Bell. And this is the show where I get in my car and I start driving and I complain about stuff. So let's do that. So I thought it only made sense for the first episode of Drive Time, where we talk about how awful things are, to talk about why driving is awful. Because it is. So each time you get on the road, you put your life in other people's hands. And everybody thinks they're a good driver. Everybody does. But none of us are. Not really. And you know, we get in the car and we all become so selfish. It's crazy. Like, we think that we're the only ones on the road. Everything I'm saying here is hypocritical because I complain about it outside of things. But you know, we become like those people who they're turning left, so they just kind of inch their way out until they're blocking an entire lane of traffic. It's like, oh, I have to turn, so I'm going to inconvenience everyone because I have to turn here. It's like, just wait or figure something else out. Or the people who are like, oh my God, I missed my turn, I'm coming up. No, you messed up. You missed your turn. You don't get to turn right from the left-hand lane now because you messed up. Sorry about it. You done messed up. Oh, see, yeah. Yeah, that was your exit, dear. You just messed up. People are stupid. They're stupid, and it's awful, and they don't know how four-way stops work. They don't know. They don't know how four-way stops work. They don't know what yield means. It's to the point that now I don't know if I know what yield means. Am I the crazy one to think that yield means you don't have to stop unless there's something coming? Am I the only one? The route I used to take when I went to school every day had a lot of intersections where I had to stop the way I was going, but the cross street didn't have to stop. And at least 3 times a week, somebody that was going the way that they didn't have to stop would stop. And it drives me nuts. You're not being nice, you're being an idiot. Okay? Because you don't have to stop. I have to stop. You don't have to stop. Because now, guess what? We get to play that game that I hate. Are you gonna, I guess, so you're gonna, but now okay. And then but now you're, okay. Oh, it just makes me so furious. You know, it's not good to fiddle with things while you're driving. Okay, that's why I don't look at the phone while I'm driving. I don't adjust the camera while I'm driving. I don't look at the script while I'm driving. I wait until I stop, and if I need to, I pull over because I'm a good person. I mean, kind of. I'm not a terrible person. I'm okay. I'm decent. I'm a nice guy. I have a lot to offer. Oh, this is getting sad. I'm blocking the sidewalk. I'm a terrible person.
I'm not a terrible person.
Oopsies. So sorry. So sorry. So sorry. Turn signals. People don't know how to use them. They're there for a reason. And sidebar, if your age has 2 digits in it, please don't call it a blinker. Please don't. It is a turn signal. Turn your blinker on. No, I will not, because I'm not 5 years old. I will turn on my turn signal. Thank you. Anyway, sidebar. They don't know how to use them. So I don't trust people because sometimes they're turning and they haven't put on their turn signal, and I could have gone, but I didn't know that they were turning because they didn't indicate that they were doing so. And then other times, people have them on, and then they don't actually turn where you think they're going to turn because their turn signal is just on. And so then they honk at you, and you almost get in an accident, and they act like you're the jerk when they were the moron. What are we doing here? Why is this so backed up? It's a right-hand turn lane. It should not be backed up this far. And the light is turning now. There we go. Okay. That is one thing that drives me crazy about driving is the timing of traffic lights. And it's different in different places. Like, so sometimes you've got two lights that are really close to each other and the timing is off on them so that traffic always gets backed up really badly. And then other times you've got some sort of situation like where I used to live, the light by my house, there was a lane that went straight and right, and there was a left-hand lane, and the left-hand lane got an arrow. And if I was in the left-hand lane, I never got the arrow. But if I was in the other lane, the arrow would always come on. I don't understand it. I don't know why it worked that way. I never got the timing of it. It made no sense to me. I could never figure it out. I drove through that light every day. And it seemed random every time, which makes no sense to me. And then, of course, you have intersections where you should have like a left-hand arrow so that things can happen safely, and they don't. Those are all over LA. They're everywhere. Which means a lot of the time you end up having to like creep out into the intersection. That's the only way that you can turn left most of the time, is you creep out into the intersection and you wait for the light to turn red, and then you can turn. And that drives me insane. And it's just accepted now. I just accept it because that's how the cookie crumbles here in Los Angeles. So sometimes you come across intersections with like really weird, like multiple. It's like a choose your own adventure. It's like, I don't know, I need to go that way. I need to go in this general direction, but there's 3 ways I could do that, and I don't know which way. I don't know. It's confusing. Intersections are hard. And here we are just backed up in the intersection because of traffic, because construction probably. That's another thing about driving. That can be a whole separate video. And they don't know how to merge. You take turns. Take turns merging. We're going to run into that here in a minute. I'm going to have to get on the freeway, and it's going to be a fun time. And here we go. We're merging. Oh, see, this was lovely because we all took turns. It's not going to happen up here. This spot is always awful. And the people who like zoom ahead, like, I'm just going to go past this line of people and someone will let me in. Ugh. Hate them. Hate them, hate them, hate them. Since we're on the freeway, we're going to talk about driving on highways. It's awful. So I'm under the speed limit right now, so I'm way over on the right, and that's not just because I have to exit soon, but also because I'm a good person. I hate when people are driving super slow in the left lanes. Now, I'll give you some leeway if the speed limit is, say, 55 and you're doing 65 and everybody else just wants to do 70 and you're in that lane. If you're going 10 over, I'll give you some leeway. But if you're doing 50 in that 55 in the left-hand lane, get over. Get over, bitch. So when you're on the highway, you frequently have to drive next to semis. And when I take over the world, semis will have their own highways. And that's not because of the semi drivers. They're mostly fine. It's all the bull that happens around them. The people that are morons around them that are like following them too close, or like almost sideswipe them as they try to get over, or it's the other people. And the laws that say that they have to go slower, so they mess up all the traffic. I think the truck drivers would agree that they want their own highways. But let's be honest, I'm never going to take over the world. I don't have the patience. I don't have the patience to deal with taking over the world. I don't. Nope. Not the energy, not the effort, not the patience. I'm not going to do it. And then when you're on the highway and you're trying to find your exit, that's always a fun time, isn't it, when you don't know where you're going? Because then you have to read, and it's not always very clear. Because sometimes it's like, oh, hey, guess what? Your exit is now. So you should, we didn't tell you before, but it's right now. So, yeah. Sorry about that. You're going to have to go maybe miles down the road before you can fix this. And it's a wonder there aren't more accidents, because, people can't drive, but they also can't read. So you put the two together and not a good time. Not a good time. One thing that makes driving awful: bicyclists. Bicyclists. I used to live in a town in Colorado where the bicyclists were the worst. They were terrible people. They, that whole share the road thing they bitch about all the time, that goes both ways, right? Okay, don't make me choose between taking my mirror off on this side and hitting you because you're riding over the line or on the line of the bike lane when you have a perfectly wide bike lane. It was never in a spot where the bike lane was narrow or there was no bike lane that they were doing this. It was always when they had a nice wide patch of bike lane. I ran into one day that was in the middle of the road, and then there was a pedestrian in the bike lane. And I was like, okay, by that logic, I should be driving on the sidewalk, right? Is that the world we live in now? I'm just driving on the road, on the sidewalk now, because the bicyclist is in the road and the pedestrian is in the bike lane? Like, what? So, while we're waiting to turn here, let's talk about pedestrians, shall we? And this guy's gonna get here just as I can do this. Okay, anyway, I am currently driving along Melrose Avenue in Los Angeles. Melrose Avenue is the worst pedestrian area I have ever seen in my life. Okay, so I get that pedestrians have the right of way, right? If there's a crosswalk with no light, you're supposed to legally stop. You're supposed to yield, which means you don't stop unless there's somebody in there, right? You're supposed to stop for the pedestrians. I get that. But some of these people, they're too trusting, okay? They don't look. I don't trust people like that. I look both ways. I mean, in kindergarten, what did they tell you? Stop, drop, and roll. Look both ways before you cross the street. There was other stuff in there. I don't remember. It was a long time ago. Something about letters, maybe. I don't know. But you look both ways. You look. Because maybe I'm a terrible driver. Maybe I'm texting. Maybe I'm playing Pokemon Go while I'm driving. And I don't look up and I don't see you. And I run you over because you didn't look. Now, that is on me that I committed vehicular homicide. But also, where is your self-preservation? That you didn't look. I always look. Because I don't trust these people. I don't trust nobody. That's what I'm saying. So it's one thing to just cross when you have a crosswalk. But when you just fling yourself out in the middle, and like I said, I'm on Melrose. I see this all the time. They're always crossing where there's no walk, right? There's nothing there. And it happens everywhere. But it seems to me that Melrose is the world capital of it. And I don't know why. It's never in a spot where it's like, oh, the next crosswalk, legal, safe place to cross is a mile down the road. It's always like, no, it's 20 feet. You walk 20 feet, you push a button, and then you can cross this incredibly busy street legally and safely. In theory, safely. But they don't. They just wander out in the middle, and I don't know how more people don't die. I really don't. Then there's a very special anger within me that happens when pedestrians are at the crosswalk and they have the hand and they go anyway when I am coming right up on you. Like, if there's no cars coming, sure, go for it. Just go. It's totally fine. I do it all the time if there's no cars coming. But if I am coming, don't go. When you have the hand, that's what the orange hand means. You wait until you get the little white walking person, which, is that racist? That it's always a white person? It probably is. The microaggression of the public transportation system. Interesting. Check your privilege, folks. But they cross, and it makes me so mad because I'm coming at you. I mean, it should be legal to hit them. And I'm not, not run them over, but, just to, tap. Maybe with the mirror. I made some girls run once when I was in college. I was coming down this hill. It was late at night. They crossed. They clearly saw me coming. But they crossed anyway, and I didn't slow down. I wasn't in danger of killing them. I was going to slam on my brakes at some point and not kill them because they weren't worth going to jail for. But they didn't know that. They ran, and it made me so happy. Like it's probably bad how happy it made me. Like I should seek therapy. It made me so happy.
I'm not a terrible person.
That'll do it for this episode of Drive Time. The inaugural episode is in the can. So, subscribe to the channel, like the video, share it with your friends and colleagues, and anybody else who doesn't like driving. I love driving. I just don't like driving with other people. That's the problem. Like this. What are you doing? What are you doing? Streep, give me strength. So yeah, do all the things that you're supposed to do, that I'm supposed to encourage you to do. You can follow me on the Twitter at that KJ Bell. That's my name and my handle. Don't wear it out. Go ahead, wear it out. It's fine. I don't care. And I'll see you on the next one. If I don't die in traffic before then. You know, parking was on my list to talk about, but we're so far from our destination, and I kind of wanted to do it while I was parking, so I think that could be a whole separate video. Anyway, as well. I can't English anymore.